Hey, everybody, welcome back to Extra Time, the U.S. Women's National Team podcast. Currently, with the Women's World Cup underway, we are the Men's National Team podcast, but that's going on hiatus because it's the Women's World Cup, the FIFA 2023 Australia-New Zealand World Cup. We got a long list of things for you as we are one day away from completing the entire first set of games here for each of the groups. We are going to talk about the U.S. women and their performance against Vietnam. We're going to touch base on some refereeing things, how we feel about the new VAR, some penalty kick disasters seems to be the theme for this tournament. Touch base on a couple of the team newses, who we think the contenders are, and who we think are struggling out of the gate here, as well as our opinions on expanding the tournament to 32 teams. Spoiler alert, I think it's been pretty good so far. All this is coming up. Almost done with the entire first set of games for the FIFA Women's World Cup. Games all throughout the night. You and I got busy schedules. Mostly highlights for me. I've been able to catch a couple reruns, and then I watched the women's game. What's it been like for you trying to catch this tournament?
I wasn't able to catch the women's game live because I had prior plans. I was able to catch a rerun of that. Other than that, I watched the rerun of England-Haiti, and I watched the rerun of Japan-Zambia. Other than that, it has also just been highlights. So
Gotcha. Well, let's just start sliding through this stuff. I'll touch base on something really quickly. We don't want to make this about any kind of drama. Chances are it's going to come up if you search for the women's team. Somebody is going to say whatever, blah, 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 some kind of drama that the women refuse to sing the national anthem. It's the women's choice. They chose to do this thing. The U.S. Soccer Federation is apparently okay with it. We have men on our team that don't sing the national anthem because they don't actually know it. You know, opinions aside, I'm just putting that out there because you'll probably hear about it. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the game itself. United States 3-0 over Vietnam. Play was significantly more lopsided than I thought that score line represented. A lot of close opportunities, crossbars, goalpost. Alex Morgan missed a penalty kick, if I'm not mistaken. Which is
it missed. It was saved, which is a miss.
It was
but
saved.
It was
yeah.
saved.
Which is a big factor in this tournament. That has actually been like more common than not. I want to say 75 to 80% of the penalties I've seen get taken have been saved, but that's coming up. So when we think about this game, my question to you before we dissect it is, knowing we're the 1 seed, right? We're one of the tournament favorites. It's Vietnam. Previously beat them 6-7-0 the last time. It was, no contest. Obviously, we walked away with the win, 3 points. The game was very one-sided. Is 3-0 a good result? Is it a successful result for us?
Yeah. I mean, a win is a win. 3 points is 3 points. To get out of the group, you need points. They've got the points. They got as many as you could out of the first game. Yeah, okay, we only win 3-0, but as you said, penalty is saved. We hit the crossbar, hit the post. A lot of good chances that get missed. And on the flip side of that, Vietnam did nothing. They didn't have a shot on goal. They didn't have a shot.
And that's to be expected, right? That's what we were hoping to see happen.
So the expectations going into this game were the U.S. is going to win, and they're going to win easily. That's what happened. Vietnam did nothing. I'm not even sure you could consider that they had even a slight threat at any point in the game.
Correct. I don't think they did at all.
So the U.S. was never tested, which could be a bad thing going into the next game.
Yeah, we're going to be playing the Netherlands, which we'll talk about because the Netherlands had a strong performance.
Correct. And you're playing against them, and they're most likely going to challenge you. And you didn't see a challenge at all from Vietnam. So rust could be in there. Obviously the goalie didn't have anything to do.
Right.
That could play a part, or they could just be very well rested, not exhausted going into that game, and where the Netherlands had to work pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
one of the
yeah,
things I thought we did well was we worked the wings, right?
yep.
Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman put in a lot of work in this game, really exposing the opportunities on the wing. We didn't do such a great job once the ball was swung into the box, right? We didn't do such a great job coming from the midfield into that offensive third. It seemed like a lot of the balls that we hit, I don't know if this very well could be players getting used to the turf, getting used to the facilities, right? In the United States, when you're training, you're coming from summer. It's now winter. In the Southern Hemisphere, you're going from playing in 80-degree humidity in Florida down to playing in 45 and rainy. So there's obviously a lot of factors to it. But overall, I thought that was where we saw our strengths. What did you see for us? How could we, what do you think we need to do to mix it up to see more success coming from the midfield and getting to the ball to a player we know in Alex Morgan, who has proven time and time again that she has what it takes?
I think there was, I honestly, other than the finishing aspect, I think the women were great pretty much everywhere on the field. Defense, midfield, wings, strikers. I think everybody played great. They just lacked the finishing touch. And Lindsey Horan, it's good to see her get that goal because she struggled a lot in that game. She had many, many, many chances that she just could not capitalize on. So for her to get that goal late in the game could be huge going into the next game. Because if you play that whole game missing the 10 shots you take, missing the net on all but like 2 of them, that carries with you.
It does.
And for her to go, no, I scored. I know what I'm doing. I can do this, is a big morale, big confidence boost. I think Alex Morgan will be frustrated with herself. I think she had a very subpar performance for herself.
That's kind of how I felt. I was expecting to see a lot more
Her penalty was
success
not
from her.
great.
It was not. It was almost basically right at the goalie.
Correct. It's that perfect height for the goalie. Now, yes, the goalie guessed right.
Yeah, but she only hit it like 2 feet off
Correct.
center.
It wasn't. Yeah. So it was rough. So.
Now I like that you brought up Lindsey Horan because when I looked at the game, I thought Lindsey Horan was the one player on the field that just consistently was dominant. Crystal Dunn was another player who I thought did great. Yeah. Trinity Rodman, I'm not going to say the whole game, but for most of the game when we needed her to do, she got it done. But Lindsey Horan was a wall in the midfield. And I know that she struggled going forward to score goals. I don't necessarily know that that's particularly what she does or what she doesn't do. If, when I was looking at what we needed on the team, she was somebody who was composed the whole game. She was determined the whole game. She was very decisive in the decisions that she made, and you could tell that she was so relaxed in it, right? Vietnam wasn't going to have anything with her. She was dictating the players around her. She was getting things done, and she was allowing us to move out when we got the ball, allow players to overlap on each side of her, and of course playing with Ertz near her too. These are 2 strong veteran players. I'm not surprised that we really didn't see anything getting through, especially from a side that was just Vietnam.
Correct. I mean, it's what fans wanted to see. If you're a U.S. women's soccer fan or just a U.S. soccer fan, it's what you wanted to see. You wanted to see a team that from the minute the whistle blew to start the game to when the game was over, were in complete control of the game. There was never a doubt that the U.S. was not going to win that game. And just clear dominance start to finish. Every position played well. I mean, the goalie obviously played well, but right, like nothing happened. So
right. So obviously, it's kind of tough to continue to talk about a game like this, knowing that it's similar to like when we talked about the men playing St. Kitts and Nevis. It's what you were expecting to happen, right? And to that effect, we actually just kind of skipped that episode because we were waiting for something else to be talked about. But given that it's the World Cup and given it's the first round, if we think back to the men's tournament, one of the things that you were expecting to see was when a team like England played Iran and just trampled them, right? To really assert that dominance. I understand the score was 3-0, but when I watched this game, I do believe that that's what was done, right? The United States took it to a team, completely dominated the game and showed that like there's a reason we're one of the tournament favorites. My question to you is, we didn't do it to the effect, to go on to some other games, that Spain did it. We didn't do it to the effect that Japan did it. Now, I know Spain won 3-0. Spain's winning 3-0 to give everybody, a little bit of a background on this. During the game, they were chatting a little bit about it. The Spanish national team, the women, the top 15 players of their federation all wrote a letter to the federation saying, our head coach has got to go, our emotional health, and a bunch of stuff. A lot of drama that they didn't really talk about on the air was happening. And if you don't let this guy go, we're not going to play. Well, the federation basically said, yeah, sorry about your luck. Now you don't get to play, and if you want to play, you have to write a letter apologizing to him. Well, only 3 of the players did. And so that means that the top 12 women for Spain's team, right, and maybe not the top 12, but 12 of the top players, are not on the roster. And Spain still comes out and absolutely crushes. A 3-0 performance that could have been 100, right? But Costa Rica's goalie just played out of her mind. Honestly, if I had to pick a fantasy goalkeeper, I'm taking Costa Rica's goalkeeper.
I don't know. Jamaica's goalkeeper.
Jamaica's goalkeeper was fantastic too. So I equivalent our 3-0 performance to a dominant performance like that. Ryan, I don't know if you caught the highlights. I don't know if you caught any of those games. Does the United States women's performance to you rank at the same caliber as Spain's win or Japan's win? Do you put us in the same boat as them?
Yeah. I think Japan played a much weaker side in Zambia. I don't believe Zambia is as high quality as Vietnam is.
Well, I mean, the ranking is significantly different, right? Vietnam was in like somewhere in the top 20 and maybe top 25.
The 30s.
Maybe. Okay, and Zambia was 77th, the lowest ranking team.
And when it comes to Spain, Costa Rica, I didn't get a chance to watch those highlights. I just clicked on the little stat thing here. 46 shot attempts.
Oh, I watched the whole game.
By Spain.
I've never seen a goalie make so many, and quality saves. Costa Rica's goalie
made 9 saves.
Unbelievable saves. I would say 7 of those saves were like full extension, stretched out, point blank shots, like laying out. It was unreal. Unreal.
Okay. That being said, I'm getting
at this. Spain moved the ball with pace. Japan moved the ball with pace. I didn't feel like the U.S. women were as decisive and deliberate as we needed to be. I'm not saying we're not going to be in the future. We might have played down to our opponent. So kind of going along what you said, that like this might come back and hurt us when we have to play a better side. I didn't see the performance, right, that I was hoping to see. Now, the flip side of that, to go into some other games, is we didn't see the result that Norway wound up with. We didn't see the result that Canada wound up with, right? Struggling to put, to get a win and just getting that single point on the board. So obviously we're in a significantly better position, than other teams could have been.
Correct. I mean, like I said, you took the maximum amount of points out of your first game. It doesn't matter. If we win, draw, we're coming out of the group in first place. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So it doesn't matter. It's group stage. Get out of the group. That is the goal. It doesn't matter how badly you win, how badly you lose. The year the Spanish men won the World Cup, they beat everybody 1-0.
Yep. Well, not everybody. They lost 1-0. It was all 1-0s. Yeah.
But every game was 1-0. Didn't matter. You still win.
Right. So when you
if the U.S. had gone against Zambia and beat them 1-0, people would be like, "Wow, we can only score 1 goal against them." But at the end of the day, it's still a win.
It is still a win.
Right? We didn't get scored on. We won. You got all 3 points. You move on to the next game. You win that one.
Be cynical with me though for a second. What teams disappointed? Which countries' results were a disappointment?
In my opinion,
Because to me, I got Norway for sure.
I told you New Zealand at home, they're not going to lose.
Norway for sure. And I should have gone with it. I mean, it was a very close game. It was a great
hard.
performance.
Honestly, the only team that I think disappointed me, well, maybe two, is Sweden and France.
Oh, Sweden, even though they get the win.
Barely.
Why you thinking that's it? It's just because of the barely?
I mean, they score in the 90th minute to win the game.
That girl's a big girl too. That was a solid header.
They're losing 1-0. So
So to me, Canada coming off of an Olympic win, right? Drawing Nigeria. That was a disappointment for me. I thought England only sneaking a 1-0 win out of Haiti was a little bit disappointing, given that England won the Euros. And then
Haiti's goalie played very well.
It played very well. And then here's a hot take. Here's a hot take for you. China's disappointed. And the reason China's disappointed...
I have them at the bottom of my group.
No. The reason that China's disappointed is because China outplayed Denmark for long stretches of that game. And I think that they're looking at themselves and going like, we're really gonna be kicking ourselves here. I do agree with you in Sweden. I do think that Sweden didn't put in the performance they were hoping, given that they have a chance at being a tournament contender. And then I was surprised by Jamaica. I got to watch the entire first half of that game and bits of the second half. And unfortunately, I think the announcers were calling her Kitty or Bunny. Was it Bunny something? I think it's Bunny. It's not her actual name. The striker for Jamaica was being referred to as Bunny.
Kaji Shaw, who got the red card.
Yeah, Bunny Shaw. And honestly, it was 2 yellows. The second yellow was super weak. They might be able to appeal it and get it back because it really wasn't much of anything in it. But I actually thought Jamaica outplayed France for most of the game. The entire first half was basically just Jamaica, with France really struggling in transition, and they didn't really manage to turn anything around until really late in the second half, right? That being said, that's not uncommon for these tournaments. We see it in the men's tournament, we see it in the women's tournament. The more quality teams are the fitter teams. They just grind the game out, and then right about 65, 70 minutes, they make some subs, and they just, turn the jets on and just absolutely crush, right? But now that we've talked about the results to these games, first, is there any other results that we haven't mentioned that you think are worth letting everybody know?
Nah, I mean, you go through pretty much your obvious ones. Australia beat Ireland, Switzerland beat Philippines. Those were pretty standard. Netherlands, Portugal was that toss-up that we both had and was actually a pretty good game, though Netherlands absolutely buried them in shots.
Well, we're going to see the Netherlands on Wednesday.
Possession was pretty even for that game. I think it was 54 to 46 or something like that. It wasn't... I mean, Netherlands really outshot them, but I think the Netherlands only had a couple on goal. So when you really think about it, it's not as disastrous as it looked. So I think Portugal can look at that and go, we kind of got outplayed, but we were still in the game the whole time. So that's positive. And they get a nice bounce back here where they get to play Vietnam.
That's true. And they get a chance to, because if the United States beats the Netherlands or the Netherlands beats the United States, right? If that game ends in a win, Portugal beating Vietnam will put them tied for that other team.
Correct.
And then all they have to do is show up potentially against the United States and, get a draw or goal differential or whatever.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the refereeing stuff, just some changes in this tournament that I hadn't seen before. How do you feel about the VAR talking back, similar to the NFL and the NHL players do?
I like it. I think it's nice for the people to see what the reasoning for the call is and not just seeing the referee run out there and say it was one thing or the other. This way people can go, it would have been, so think about the, if we go to the men in the Gold Cup against Canada, I think it was Canada, where the penalty gets called and then they VAR it and Buzio got pushed and the referee called a foul there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what the call was because you
True.
couldn't hear it. If that referee goes, the ruling on the field is no penalty, there was a foul prior to the play, Canadian player shoved, right? And they show it, and the fans can hear it, and everybody can hear it. It clears up some of that stuff. So I actually think it's kind of nice. And I know that the Premier League is going to be experimenting with that this year. They're going to be doing the on-field VAR that you'll be able to hear. So I think that's nice. I actually do like that because sometimes you're not sure what a referee's decision was on something. So and now we'll know. So if there's a possible handball where a referee says no, it goes to VAR, and you see that it's a handball, but then the referee can come back out and you could hear them say, like, it's not clear and obvious, or their arm was near enough to their body for them to not make that decision. So we get to look into what the referees were actually thinking when they make the call.
True. I guess so I'm still torn. And I guess a lot of the reasons that I don't like it are more just kind of like being set in my ways, right? Like I've grown used to the way that the men's game does it. I've grown used to not having anything explained. And then just a kind of weirdness in the way the referee sort of over-explains some of the situations. But I agree with the things that you're saying, that I do kind of like that they're trying to explain to people what is going on and like why the calls were made and why it is what it is, and like give the exact reasoning so at least even the players know. And so I think at least from that standpoint, it's going to benefit everybody. The next question I have with refereeing, though, when we watched the Men's World Cup, we brought this up, and I think the same is holding true here for the women's. Every confederation is represented in terms of refereeing. And I think, at least from what I've seen, we're starting to see very quickly that there are referees that just can't keep up with the pace of some of these games. I thought the United States-Vietnam game, a lot of tackles went through pretty hard that were kind of let go. I've seen it in a handful of other games. I know that this is a tough area because it's really hard to say either way because, we haven't really seen too much. We've seen a couple red cards. We've seen some VAR reviews. For the most part, the games are getting refereed pretty strong and pretty handedly. Are you getting the impression that I'm getting, or do you think I'm just like, grasping for stuff in the dark here?
No, I mean, there have been some calls I've seen that are a little yikes, and then there's others that don't get called that you're like, whoa, really? That's not getting called? But at the end of the day, from what I have watched, highlights, and because I have not been able to see a game live yet, and I'm a little upset about that. But the highlights.
I mean, they're 17 hours or 15 hours ahead of us, so
yeah,
don't be too
I know,
disappointed.
but like women
I'm
play
watching
at
them
9
on
p.m., so like I should be able to watch that game. But from what I have seen, I don't believe, and I could be wrong. You might know of a game that you saw highlights of that I didn't, where a call on the field changed the outcome of the game. And I don't believe there's been a referee decision yet that has cost a team a match.
Not one that I think was incorrect. There's been a couple penalties.
Correct.
I would say the England game had the penalty, right?
Yep.
And then one that felt really controversial was the other team that won a game 1-0 on a penalty kick. And the goalie saved the first attempt, but then she was off the line. And they gave it back to him, and they scored. And it was the right call. Like, it felt awkward.
Was it the Australia game?
Potentially. Did Australia score on a penalty?
Yeah, they're the only other 1-0 win.
Okay, because it was a team that won
penalty.
1-0. Yeah. That had a penalty. And the and when they took it, it was a clean save. And then they reviewed it, and they were right. Like, when they reviewed it, the goalie had both feet way off the line, even long before the ball was even hit. And
the rule state retake.
Right, retake. So I don't think that there's been a call that has affected the game that has not been correct. I think the penalty kick calls that are getting called were correct. Does it mean they didn't miss others in the game? Not necessarily, but I don't think they have. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that there's been any very blatant. Like, it's not like, to continue with what you're saying. While there hasn't been a call made that has changed the game, they also haven't missed a call that would have affected the game. It's not like there was a penalty that should have been called that wasn't called, and it resulted in the team losing.
Yeah, so as much as there's always going to be referees that are a little more lenient than others, there's going to be referees that are a little more strict than others. But the thing you don't want is you don't want a referee making the wrong call and affecting the outcome of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe we have seen that yet. Now that I could be wrong. Like I said, I have not been able to catch all the highlights or see all the games. So there's a good chance that in the New Zealand game, there is many a call that is blown that could have resulted in that going the other way for Norway. Same with the France-Jamaica game. I only saw the highlights, so obviously it might not be in the highlights for that game. So
Well, look, I want to continue. I want to continue off of penalty kicks here because I don't know if you've gotten a chance to like really follow all of this. I have never seen so many penalties saved or missed in my life this far, this early into a tournament.
They're not great quality shots.
They're not great quality shots, and this is not something I was actually expecting. The women's game to have a higher percentage of converted penalties, and I don't know why my brain thought that. I don't have any rationale behind it. There's just my gut being like, I just feel like they're going to score more of them. Canada, their 40-something-year-old woman who was trying to score in 6 World Cups, just no, right? Tried for it, missed. Alex Morgan missed a penalty. Oh my gosh, there's another game early on where they missed a penalty to either go up 2-0 to tie it. England missed a penalty. Who else missed
scored on a penalty?
And scored on a penalty. Somebody else missed a penalty. There's been a lot of penalty kick calls and a lot of missed penalties so far in this tournament.
People are getting better at guessing, or they're getting better at reading what players are going to do before they do it. Or terrible shots.
Let's see. Women's World Cup penalties record for a single FIFA tournament. Packed with penalties. Hold on. I want to see if I can get the exact number.
Oh, for this tournament?
Yeah.
So far?
How many penalties? So, all right. Here's all the ones. Okay, so New Zealand was given a penalty kick. They missed. Australia was given a penalty kick. They scored. Switzerland was given a penalty kick. They scored. Canada missed. Spain missed. The United States missed. That's 4. And then Japan scored and England scored. So we are 500%. 8 penalty kicks have been called, and we are 500%. Or 500%. Oh my gosh. We're batting
50.
We're batting 500.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
Tim,
50%.
baseball reference, we're at 50%. So in just this, not even through the first stage, you've seen 8 penalty kicks so far. And this was this article even posted? This article was posted yesterday too. So all the ones that happened yesterday. Yeah, they didn't even have
so it might not
today's.
Have Netherlands, Sweden, in them.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. So it's just been interesting. It's just something that like I didn't think I would see. Wanted to keep track of, but anything else you want to cover before we send it off and get ready for the Netherlands game?
No, I mean, the games have been close. I think most of the games have been good, which is, going against what I said, where we'll figure out where that break is in the quality of teams that are way lower now that we've added more teams. But honestly, I other than the Japan-Zambia game, and obviously Spain-Croatia or Costa Rica, but the games have been close. The games have been tight.
So given what
no
you've
team
seen,
has really been out of it.
How you feeling about your picks? And who do you think the contenders are in the tournament? Has any of the contenders changed?
I think Haiti might surprise people now.
Okay.
I'm a little. That's one that could be like, ooh, interesting. We'll see where that goes. I don't know if Sweden is gonna be as strong as I thought, and whoever wins that against the U.S. wins the tournament.
Mm-hmm. If Shaw gets her red card overturned, I think Jamaica could get out of the group, could shock some people, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it without her. So if that red card sticks, I think Jamaica's future is going to be kind of at the mercy of that.
Next.
They're in a pretty decent group.
I think they play Panama next.
They might. They might be able to beat Panama without it. I think Spain is this very serious contender.
They either play they play Panama.
I think Japan is a contender.
Yeah, Japan's a contender for sure.
And I understand they played Zambia, but just the
Morocco.
way that they play. Oh gosh, Morocco. Well, we're gonna find out, right? We're gonna see Germany.
No,
we're
they're
gonna
gonna
see
lose. They're gonna
Brazil.
lose tomorrow. They play Germany.
Okay.
I have Germany winning all 3 games. Morocco will lose against Germany.
And then they'll win the
And
other
it could
two,
be
and they'll get
7.
through.
It could be 7-0. But
it's not gonna matter because they're gonna rally back. They're gonna win the next
Correct.
2, and they're gonna make it out of the group. All right. Well,
Correct.
we are going to see the women play the Netherlands Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Ryan and I are going to be convening sometime after that to give you our rundown on those games. One more day left of the first round of group stage games, and then we're getting into game 2 as they start to play again. And if you can remember back to the men's tournament and tournaments like this in the World Cup, after that second game, you realize you ran out of time. So these first 2 games are super, super important. What was it? It was like you have a 60-something% chance of getting out of the group if you win your first game, and it drops down to like 20-something if you don't win your first one. Wasn't that the stat?
It drops down to like 10 if you lose the first one or something. But yeah,
it's something. It's something
not great.
Dangerous if you don't win that first game. So we're going to see here a couple teams. We'll see if Canada can rally back in this next round. We'll see if Australia and New Zealand can be kind of dark horse contenders here. I mean, I'd be pulling for him. I thought it was exciting getting the crowd behind him. So we'll see what that's like. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're interested in following the Women's World Cup and you like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like this video, leave a comment. We want to hear who your favorites are. We want to hear some dark horse picks from you guys. And as always, we will see you guys next time.